Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your narrator, Captain Mark Favinger, and on behalf of the Commander, 5th Bomb Wing, Colonel Bradley Cochran, welcome to Minot Air Force Base and the 5th Operations Group Change of Command Ceremony. We are pleased you are with us today to share in this important ceremony as we bid farewell to Colonel Douglas Warnock and welcome in a new leader, Colonel Scott Maytan. Our ceremony today is a celebration of both continuity and change. Continuity in the form of a military tradition whose roots reach back through time to the legions of ancient Rome, to the passing of signets that once symbolized the transfer of command from one to another. Change, as this great command says farewell to an honored leader and welcomes his successor through a ceremony that differs only in style, not substance, from those of the Romans. Once the members of the official party have taken their places, please remain standing for the presentation of our nation's colors by the Minot Air Force Base Honor Guard, the singing of our national anthem by Senior Airman Stephen Palmier, and the invocation by Captain J.R. Harris. During the singing of the national anthem, military guests in uniform will stand at the position of attention, while civilian guests should stand with their hands over their hearts. Today, we are honored to have many special and distinguished guests in attendance. Special guests of Colonel Warnock include his daughter, Katie, and son, Will. His parents, Reverend Doug and Patricia Warnock. Special guests of Colonel Maytan include his spouse, Mary, and their daughters, Alice, Carolyn, and Medora. His father and mother, Mr. Stephen and Mrs. Shirley Maytan. His father and mother-in-law, Mr. Earl and Mrs. Betty Olmshed. Distinguished guests in attendance include spouse of the commander, 5th Bomb Wing, Mrs. Keva Cochran. Commander, 91st Missile Wing, Colonel Colin Connor and his spouse, Sarah. Vice Commander, 5th Bomb Wing, Colonel Sloan Hollis and his spouse, Amber. Vice Commander, 91st Missile Wing, Colonel Craig Ramsey and his spouse, Christine. Command Chief, 5th Bomb Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Brent Sheehan and his spouse, Stephanie. And Honorary Commander, 5th Operations Group, Mr. Bruce Christensen and his spouse, Linda. We would also like to welcome all other civic leaders, commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, friends, family, and members of Team Minot. At this time, we ask that you please stand for the arrival of the official party.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Chaplain Harris, please come forward to offer the invocation.
Good morning, Warbirds. Good morning, friends and family. I invite you to join with me as I offer this invocation. Let us pray. Gracious God, our Heavenly Father, grant us peace this day as we join in witnessing the change of command of the 5th Operations Group. Over the last 2 years, under the command of Colonel Doug Warnock, this organization has demonstrated the power of aerial dominance in the B-52. We're inspired by what they've accomplished as he led. So I ask that you would be with Colonel Warnock as he heads across the pond and takes on a new set of challenges and opportunities. Guide his travel and lead him as a good shepherd leads his sheep into green pastures and beside still waters. Bless him with a sense of satisfaction as he hands off the guidon and heads to the land of Big Ben and Buckingham. As Colonel Scott Maytan receives the guidon and assumes command, bless him. Bless him with foresight, with vision, with drive to take the 5th OG to new heights of operational excellence. I ask God that you give him success, give him supernatural strength, and be with his wife Mary and their daughters as they support him during his tenure as our group commander. Finally, God, I ask that you would empower the Iron Men, the Bomber Barons, and the Nighthawks to serve their new group commander well, so that our friends and families, those who are trusting us to get the job done and safeguard their way of life, that they may rest easy, enjoying freedom while we pay the price for it. All these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Honor Guard, Airman Palmier, and Chaplain Harris. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the commander, 5th Bomb Wing, Colonel Bradley Cochran.
Good morning. That's pretty good. Good morning. It's great to be here with you today. Lieutenant Colonel Stanley, please put the formation at ease. All right, well, what a great day. Couldn't ask for better weather for a ceremony like this. Just absolutely gorgeous, and thank you all for being here today. I'd like to extend another warm welcome to our distinguished guests that we have here today. Colonel Connor, who stepped away for a second, is here. Colonel Hollis, Amber, Craig, Christine. Chief Sheehan, Steph, thanks for being here today. Honorary Commander Bruce, there you are. Linda, thank you for being here today. Appreciate it. To all the other group commanders, squadron commanders, chiefs, the airmen of the 5th Bomb Wing, our friends and family from the Minot community, thanks for being here. And most importantly, to the Warnock and Maytan families. Welcome to Katie and Will, to Reverend and Mrs. Warnock, Mary and Alice, and who promised me some cookies, by the way, when I met her last night. Caroline, and little Medora, thank you all for being here. Mr. and Mrs. Maytan, thank you for being here as well. And Mr. and Mrs. Olmshield, are you here? Right there. Okay, thank you for being here today too. This is a very special day and a very special ceremony, so thank you all for being here. Let me tell you that I am absolutely honored to be on stage with these two great officers. These two great leaders, great combat aviators. Each has distinguished themselves throughout their career and are here on stage today as a result of their extraordinary accomplishments and, more importantly, their ability to lead. We often talk about the tip of the spear. Well, today, we're here with the group that represents the culmination of all of our efforts to fulfill our mission to provide combat air power anytime, anywhere that we're asked to provide that combat air power to any combatant commander whenever we receive the call. These airmen standing behind you fly the infamous and iconic B-52. It's on display right behind you. They fly a weapon system that single-handedly reassures our allies they are safe from occupation and strike cold sweats and deep fear into the hearts of our enemies. If two F-16s, and nothing against my F-16 friends, but if two F-16s deploy overseas, nobody really notices. But if two strategic B-52 bombers show up overseas, believe me, the world takes notice. Make no mistake about it. The B-52 is an extremely powerful weapon of war. And under the leadership of Colonel Warnock, the entire world understood that, without question, exactly why it is feared so much. Under his leadership, over the past 2 years, the B-52 supported 5 combatant commanders and 4 areas of responsibility. In the Pacific, he oversaw the largest continuous bomber presence deployment to date and enabled an astounding record-shattering 82 Pacific power projection missions during a single deployment. In the European theater, his group executed the command's busiest bomber task force, with 4 B-52s and 300 airmen flying 36 missions without a cancellation and integrating 19 allies and their partners. In the United States Southern Command, his group flew missions and thwarted over 12,000 kilograms of cocaine distribution worth more than $400 million and directly led to 30 arrests and prosecutions by district attorneys. In the U.S. Central Command, in the Middle East, he led his group back to combat for the first time in over 12 years, deploying 7 B-52s, over $145 million of assets, and 445 personnel for a year of combat operations. His aviators flew 10,500 combat hours, executing 100% of their assigned mission timing during more than 1,000 combat sorties, leading to 4,500 targets destroyed and 4,000 enemy combatants killed. Think about that. General Rand said of the deployment, it was the most historic bomber deployment since the Vietnam era. And finally, in our own theater right here at home, his leadership was just as stellar. His efforts resulted in the bomb wing successfully passing its 2017 nuclear surety inspection, arguably the Air Force's most rigorous inspection, where his group received historic level high grades. All of these efforts directly contributed to the wing earning the 2016 United States Strategic Command's Omaha Trophy for the best bomber squadron, the 2017 Air Force Global Strike Command's LeMay Trophy for the best overall bomb squadron, and the 2017 Air Force Global Strike Command's Linebacker Trophy for the best B-52 bomb squadron. Absolutely amazing. Colonel Warnock, thank you. Thank you for your incredible leadership. Thank you for giving of your time, your talents, and leadership to this group and to our wing. We will all miss you greatly, and wish you the best of luck and Godspeed in your travels to England, of which we're all slightly jealous of. But we need you to say hi to the Queen and the royal family for us when you see them either at Wimbledon or maybe around the corner from your flat at Buckingham Palace. So as we bid farewell to an outstanding outgoing commander, we also welcome an outstanding new one. As we are sad to see him leave and depart, we couldn't be happier with receiving Colonel Maytan and his family to our wing. Colonel Maytan and his family are no strangers to the B-52 and are back at Minot for a second and third time. Colonel Maytan arrives ready to take the guidon as an absolute distinguished officer, proven in combat and in garrison as an incredible aviator and an exceptional leader. He comes to us from the United States Strategic Command, where he was serving as the Command Inspector General, something that we might put to use while he's here. And he is here with us not by accident, but by merit, ready for the challenge with a long list of career accomplishments that prove excellence in everything he has done. Throughout his career, he has distinguished himself amongst his peers. He was stratified number 1 of 4 squadron commanders, number 1 of 8 squadron commanders, number 1 of 280 officers, and number 1 of 46 wing lieutenant colonels. He's a proven commander. As a commander, he made extraordinary strides in his efforts to turn around a squadron. But more importantly, his previous commanders have described him this way. They wrote, a poised leader, a critical thinker, a problem solver, a forward thinker, and a servant leader. Colonel Maytan is also a combat warrior with combat experience in Operation Allied Force and Operation Iraqi Freedom. He is absolutely ready to lead this group into combat or through any future challenge that might arise. He is the perfect leader to take this group to new heights. Colonel Maytan, I charge you with taking care of the mission, with taking care of your airmen, with taking care of our military families, and with building servant leaders to take your place someday. Congratulations again. I look forward to working with you. Welcome to the family. Mary, Alice, Caroline, Medora, welcome back to Minot. Welcome back to the 5th Operations Group. We're so excited to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us here today. Thank you for taking time out of your day to celebrate this great event and these 2 great airmen and witness the passing of a torch from one great leader to another. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Cochran. At this time, Colonel Warnock will receive the Legion of Merit. Please stand for the presentation of the award. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of Legion of Merit to Douglas W. Warnock, Jr. Colonel Douglas W. Warnock, Jr. distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commander, 5th Operations Group, 5th Bomb Wing, Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota, from 5 July 2016 to 18 July 2018. In this important assignment, the leadership, exemplary foresight, and ceaseless efforts consistently demonstrated by Colonel Warnock resulted in significant contributions to the effectiveness and success of the 5th Operations Group and 5th Bomb Wing. Colonel Warnock provided deft leadership and critical expertise in both conventional and nuclear operations to the 5th Bomb Wing's support of 5 combatant commanders in 4 areas of responsibility, which allowed for precise global strike power projections anywhere in the world. His direction was most critical to the 5th Bomb Wing's return to combat operations for the first time in over 12 years, deploying 7 B-52s, over $145 million in assets, and 445 personnel for a year of combat operations. Colonel Warnock ensured his airmen were trained and equipped on the B-52's new $38 million command and control system and $200 million rotary launcher, which enabled a 50% increase in B-52 smart weapons carriage and set a new record for the most precision weapons dropped in a single sortie. Colonel Warnock's aviators executed over 100% of their assigned mission timing, flew over 1,000 combat missions, accumulated over 10,500 combat hours, accepted over 71 million pounds of air refueling gas, expended over 6,700 weapons weighing more than 7.1 million pounds that struck over 4,500 targets, and killed in excess of 4,000 enemy combatants in what the commander of Air Force Global Strike Command said was the most historic bomber deployment since Vietnam. Finally, he was integral to winning the 2016 United States Strategic Command's Omaha Trophy for the Best Strategic Bomber Wing, the 2016 Air Force Global Strike Command's Brigadier General Kenneth N. Walker Award as Best Bomber Squadron, the 2017 Air Force Global Strike Command's LeMay Trophy as the Best Overall Bomb Squadron, and the 2017 Air Force Global Strike Command's Linebacker Trophy for the Best B-52 Bomb Squadron. The superior initiative, outstanding leadership, and personal endeavor displayed by Colonel Warnock reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Warnock.
Hey, good morning. Now, if you'll allow me, before I go any further, stretch one last official order. Please put the group at ease. Thank you. Colonel and Mrs. Cochran, Colonel Connor, Colonel Mrs. Hollis, Colonel Mrs. Ramsey, Command Chief Ms. Sheehan, my fellow group and squadron commanders, to include former 23rd Bomb Squadron Commander, Colonel retired and Mrs. Shan Cruz, former 49th Test Squadron Commander, retired Lieutenant Colonel Todd Sherm, civic leaders that include the best honorary commander in Air Force Global Strike Command, Bruce Christensen and his lovely wife, Linda. Special warm welcome to my family. I'm so grateful it's here along with each and every one of you from Team Minot. Thank you for attending this ceremony today. It's great to look out today and see so many friends. That's why it was easy to come back to Minot a little over 2 years ago, and that's why it's so hard to leave once again. Thank you for sharing this day with Colonel Maytan's family and mine. I know Scott and I are lucky men to have both you and our families in attendance today, and we're going to treasure this moment. Katie, Will, Mom, Dad, thanks for being here and always being supportive. Next, a huge thanks up front to everyone, all the folks who put this together and participated. As you know, these things don't happen without a lot of work behind the scenes, so we sincerely appreciate it. And I say we because you're not simply bidding farewell to the outgoing commander, but we're ensuring we formally welcome Colonel Maytan, Mary, and the girls back to Minot Air Force Base as Scott's about to lead the 5th Operations Group and the mighty B-52 aircrew members once again to execute, as the boss said, one of the most diverse missions in our United States Air Force. I'm honored and humbled to have been your Operations Group Commander at such a critical time in the 5th Bomb Wing's history. What they read in the award narrative and the kind words by the boss attempted to capture everything the group did in the last 2 years. It's what the group accomplished, what you airmen accomplished. It's nothing that I did. In short, you delivered that lethal combat air capability to every combatant commander, as the boss said, in the last 2 years. And not only delivered it, but simply shattered records along the way. PACOM, SOUTHCOM, CENTCOM, EUCOM, STRATCOM, and Air Force Global Strike Command. So when I look back to when I took command in 2016, there's a lot going on in the world. We had B-52s being repeatedly called upon to answer our nation's call with flights over the Korean Peninsula, flights challenging disputed sovereign territory, global power missions, nuclear exercises, inspections, and actual combat operations against the Islamic State and CENTCOM. Not a lot's changed, right? Neither has the steadfast dedication to our mission and your tireless work ethic in showing the world that bombers, and most importantly, what Minot B-52s can accomplish. No words can express how humbled and how fortunate I was to work with you, to serve with you, and to learn from you the last 2 years. Your mission record speaks for itself. No one who's ever spent any time in Minot would have questioned if we put up half those statistics and broke half those records. But we're not here to just survive, are we, Chief? You have repeatedly showed our enemies and the world that with our mission partners, the 5th Operations Group thrives in Minot. You safely, securely, and reliably execute assurance to our allies, deterred our enemies with our preparedness to meet and win any conflict anywhere in the world. Every job, every airman was needed to make the mission succeed. And as I said already, it's been an absolute privilege to lead the unrivaled warfighting element of the 5th Bomb Wing. Colonel Maytan, this is an extremely amazing team and an amazing opportunity. I'm excited for them and for you as you take the guide on and lead on. Leading the best trained and best educated B-52 airmen in our history, who are part of the best Air Force in the world, that enables us to continue to fly the B-52 in order to fight and win our nation's wars. And with that, I know I've taken up enough of your time. Scott and Mary and the girls, I wish you all the best as you embark in this next phase of your military career. Colonel Cochran, to you and our superiors, thanks for this awesome opportunity. And finally, and most importantly, to the men and women and families of the 5th Operations Group, again, it was my absolute honor to once again serve you, to be part of your family. You, during an incredibly tough time in our nation's history, continued to sacrifice and answer the call. I'm in awe of what you've done, and I'm excited to hear what heights you will soar to next in the future. Godspeed.
Thank you, Colonel Warnock. At this time, the men and women of the 5th Operations Group would like to bid farewell to Colonel Warnock by rendering him one last salute. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the official change of command. Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force Headquarters, 5th Bomb Wing, Minot Air Force Base. Special Order Number 18025, dated 29 June 2018. By order of the Commander, Colonel Douglas Warnock Jr. will relinquish command to Colonel Scott Maytan, 5th Operations Group, Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota, effective 18 July 2018. Signed, Colonel Bradley L. Cochran.
Sir, I relinquish command. Sir, I assume command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander, 5th Operations Group, Colonel Scott Maytan.
Okay, one more time before we get going. Lieutenant Colonel Stanley, please place your formation at ease. Good morning, Team Minot. And thanks for being here today. I've heard it said that only the best come north, and I feel privileged to be surrounded right now by great airmen, great family, and good friends who have come from near and far. Colonel Cochran, thank you for your words this morning and your leadership. I look forward to working for you. Colonel Connor, Minot Air Force Base is a team. Thank you for your Rough Riders. Thank you and your Rough Riders for supporting the 5th Operations Group and the Warbirds today like you do every day. Vice Commanders, fellow group commanders from both the 5th and the 91st, thank you for being here. I'm ready to execute our strategic deterrence mission alongside you and your airmen. I'd also like to thank Bruce and Linda Christensen. Thank you for being here this morning. Minot has always benefited from outstanding community support. Mary and I look forward to getting to know both of you. And looking out today, excuse me, I'm the short guy in the group. Looking out today, I see many friends, new and old, and this makes me realize how fortunate I am to keep good company. Each of you owns a part of shaping me as a person. Thank you for your example, your influence, and your friendship. For my family, Mom and Dad, you have made yet another long trip to support my service to the Air Force. 25 years ago, you made that trip to Lackland Air Force Base for my graduation from basic military training. Between then and today, the Air Force and I have given you countless other opportunities to continue that support. And you always have. Thank you. Betty and Earl, my other mom and dad, your daughter's decisions drug you into this lifestyle. Yet you've always been there for the Maytan team, and I thank you, of course, especially for raising such an incredible daughter who I was lucky enough to marry. Speaking of daughters, Alice, Caroline, and Medora, I'm so happy to have you here today. Thank you for being awesome kids. And Mary, the ride continues. I love you and I love taking you on this Air Force journey every step. That journey has returned us to Minot Air Force Base, where airmen, both military and civilian, sustain the work done here for our nation. Strategic deterrence underwrites American power, period. And our nation relies on this base to project that power. Colonel Warnock, thank you for your leadership of the 5th Operations Group, a critical part of that team that delivers our wing's B-52 capability. Under your command, the group has continued to build upon its storied record of success, both home and away. I will do my very best to support the group's elite airmen and their winning ways. For the men and women of the 5th Operations Group, wow. I first joined our group 20 years ago and across assignments have been privileged to serve in and deploy with all 3 squadrons. I've been a Bomber Baron, an Iron Man, and a Nighthawk. And across squadrons and across time, I've seen this group maintain focus on some basic yet key attributes. A dedication to our mission, a commitment to our team and our teammates, and the shouldering of tremendous responsibility. Our job isn't easy and never has been, but it's incredibly important and requires every single one of us. I'm honored to again be counted among our ranks. In closing, I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I'm proud to be a part of the 5th Operations Group serving the Warbirds, the Rough Riders, and our nation. Mary, the girls, and I are glad to be home. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please focus your attention to the magnificent aircraft parked behind the formation. The aircraft behind you is the B-52H Stratofortress. As with aircraft nose art, it is a time-honored tradition for the crew chief to paint the name of the commander near the cockpit. We will honor this tradition today and will now unveil Colonel Scott Maytan's name on the airplane. Thank you, Colonel Maytan. At this time, the men and women of the 5th Operations Group would like to welcome Colonel Maytan by rendering him a first salute. Additionally, we would like to present a bouquet of flowers to Mary, Alice, Carolyn, Medora, Mrs. Maytan, and Mrs. Olmscheid. Mary, Alice, Carolyn, Medora, Shirley, and Betty, please accept these flowers as our gift welcoming you to the 5th Operations Group family. We look forward to working with you. In keeping with Air Force tradition, we will conclude today's ceremony with the playing of the Air Force song. While it is mandatory for Air Force members to stand at the position of attention, we invite all of our guests to join us in standing for the Air Force song and the departure of the official party and special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Off we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. We invite you to stay for a reception welcoming the Maytan family. Thank you for attending.